Hello there, good morning and welcome to another interesting week. A beautiful week it is. It's Monday, the 9th day in the month of October 2023, and it is the paper review on Quest Television. My name is Alex Obunnaya, and today we have four dailies up for review. The dailies are the Punch newspaper, Daily Trust newspaper, The Guardian, and The Nation newspaper. I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have here with me Comrade Efe Odomo, who will be doing this with me. Good morning, Comrade Efe Odomo.
Good morning and welcome every one of us, including the listeners and readers, to a very beautiful and a bright week.
I like your outfit.
Oh yes, I'm taking a side with my people over there in the Middle East.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
I pray God intervenes.
Okay, we pray God really intervenes because the crisis is really escalating and so many lives have been lost in that. And of course, we're going to start off with the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with the crisis in the Middle East, and the story is captioned, "War in Middle East may spiral, push monthly petrol subsidy to 644.8 billion naira." The full story is on page 6. Still on the front page of The Guardian, Atiku Keyamo trade words over Tinubu's Chicago certificate. We have not heard the last on that. Trust me, we still hear gist on that. And still on the front page of The Guardian newspaper, okay, no, that's more of an editorial. 107 ex-senators urge caution on Tinubu's certificate saga. You can read up that story on page 3. Tinubu pledges 500,000 jobs as Ajaokuta Steel nears completion. That's on page 3. I was privileged to visit that place in Ajaokuta. Boy, what a waste. Well, we hope that it is completed very soon. Naira dip pushes loan book value of 8 banks to 30 million naira. Whatever that means, that story is on page 15. Executive one project every quarter, Lagos Speaker tells Council. Execute one project every quarter, Lagos Speaker tells Council Chairman. Okay, that's on page 5. Makes more sense now. Lagos State Speaker telling his local government officials to execute one project per quarter. That's that from the Guardian newspaper. Quickly, let's go to Nation newspaper. Federal government targets 5 million jobs in 5 years for youths. Better Edu scheme will be efficient. Ajaokuta Steel to employ 500,000. Shetima firm 98% ready. Okay, that's the lead story on the front page of the Nation newspaper. And still on the front page of the Nation, Governor seeks dredging of River Niger, Benue to halt flooding. Speaker sets performance benchmark for Lagos councils. That's also above the masthead. And eminent industrialist Chris Ogumbajo dies at 99. Jazz Bank to raise 5.4 billion naira in rights issue at Nigeria's foreign exchange market. And still on the front page, why banks should follow rules in granting loans to government. And finally on the front page of the Nation newspaper, stakeholders, insecurity still challenge to South development. You can read up that story on page 2. Okay, from the Nation we go to the Daily Trust. How attacks on Elon Musk others triggered crisis. This one has to do with the crisis in the Middle East, Israel-Palestine conflict. How attacks on Elon Musk triggered crisis. Above, directly below the masthead, Pengaston confirms return of fuel subsidy. Flood destroys houses, farms in Taraba. Adamawa residents seek help. And Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi polls, spate of violence and security worrisome. That's according to INEC. And of course, it is worrisome to us here too. Finally, let's go to the Punch newspaper. Punch has so many stories on its front page begging for attention. We're going to take them as quickly, as swiftly as we can. The lead story, CBN investigator probes banks over 1.27 trillion naira intervention funds. 1.27 trillion anchor borrowers loan, others others undisbursed in 5 banks. Special investigator to summon bank CEOs over intervention funds. And above the masthead, governors, Labour begin talks over 35,000 naira wage award. 1,000 killed as Israel-Hamas conflict rages. U.S. deploys ammunitions. And JACMA, federal government okays contract jobs for retired doctors. Sanwo-Olu ordered demolition of markets built on drainage. That's on page 4. That's in Lagos. Road crashes, deaths dropped by 1,118, says FRSC. Federal government to grill N-Power consultants. Plan 5 million jobs. That's on page 21. Pension in 24 trillion naira deficit before reforms. PENCOM DG. That's on page 28 of the Punch newspaper. And that's that with the dailies. I did say we'll have Comrade Efe Odomo here this morning. Comrade, welcome once again. Good morning to you.
Well, thank you for having me on Monday morning.
Exactly. So many stories from what we've looked at now. I think the one that really, I'm going to draw my first question from is the Ajaokuta still. I have been privileged to visit that place, and it's a massive investment there. Lying waste. Government is saying the place is 98% complete. This is not the first time as a person I'm hearing that.
Yes.
And this is going to be the last time.
I pray this is going to be the last time, because we have suffered under this scenario for too long a time. Even during the time of Jonathan, we have very minute percentage that was left to complete that project. And still we are not able to complete it. It is like the journey of the eyes. Where the eyes can see, the legs cannot get there. You will always be thinking that it is there, it is there. When I was a very small boy in those days, when we go out in the evening and we are coming home and we see the moon is almost at the center of your head when you look up. So I would tell my mother that, my mother would tell me, let us be faster so that we will overtake the moon before we will get home. Then we'll be running and running. We'll get home, the moon is still at the forefront again. I would tell my mom, we will not miss this thing. She would say, no, I didn't. We are going to the next community. We will have passed it on the way. You see, so that is what Nigerians' assets have become. Almost there, almost there, almost there, we are never there. I pray this one will not have that same story of almost there, will not be there. If that thing is actually completed, it's going to provide jobs, real jobs for unemployed Nigerians. And I think they should go ahead and pursue it. If we are able to achieve this, then other ones can follow, like NNPC, Ajaokuta, and Alaja, and all those people will also follow.
Okay, let's look at this other story on the front page of Punch newspaper above the masthead. Government, or rather governors, Labour begins talks over 35,000 naira wage award. Before now, some governors are saying they've started paying 10,000 naira to their workers. The federal government did not consult them before getting to this amount of money that they cannot pay. Do you see another crisis, industrial one, develop out of this?
It will not be a crisis after all. It's not a constitutional matter. The federal government and the state government cannot pay the same amount of money.
Okay.
So if the federal government has set their own benchmark, the state government should also meet to set their own standard. And as it is, all the state governments may not even be able to pay the same amount of salaries because they are responsible to different governments. Likewise, the local government too. It's just like when you say the federal government is prepared to pay, assuming 200,000, and you say the local government too should pay 200,000. It can never work. How much is the fund coming in? And most states in Nigeria too, they depend on federal allocation to meet up their variable costs in most cases, including tangible investment. So when you now bring such companies on board and such states on board and say they should pay equal amount with the federal, it's going to crash the economy of that state, and it's going to be very disastrous. So let them set standard, set their own budget on what they think that they will be able to accommodate. Otherwise, it will just be an issue of salary arrears for 20 months that they will not pay, and then they start going on strike, and it will not resolve any crisis. So the best thing is for them, sit with your own workers, your labor union, factor out a scheme of things, how you'll be able to fit in, let them understand how much comes in, let them understand how much goes for capital projects, let them understand what goes on to run the states. Then they meet at a equilibrium point. But if you hide this fact from the workers, they will tell you that you are cheating on them.
Is subsidy back?
There is strong rumor that...
the reports we're hearing, Dupeng boss is saying government is paying subsidy. Otherwise, the price of petrol, which is still at 610 naira, will probably have hit 1,000 naira.
Possibly, yes. It is a very strong rumor, but the federal government on her own has not come out to say anything about it. I know when there are no cogent information, rumor takes over the stage. So if the government is quiet, everybody is tended to believe that the subsidy payment is back. And it will not augur well for the nation at all, which means we don't have a standard and we don't have any political will to implement and carry to the latter what we intend to do. If they have to bring subsidy back at this point in time, what happens to the ones that they have taken away? Has anybody been able to account for those ones? The answer still remains no. If actually when they remove those subsidies, the monies were plowed into capital projects, nobody will be complaining. But you cannot take subsidy away and you are using the money to give me 1 cup of rice that is palliative. How many days would that, how many hours would that one even carry me? Talk of a family of even 4, mother, father, and 2 children. Will the derica of rice feed them? So we should put a round peg in a round hole and a square peg in a square hole. Until government gets it right, nothing will work. And if they bring subsidy back, removing it to be a thing of, just like going through the eye of the camel going through the eye of a needle, as the biblical people will say. Okay,
let's go to Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states. There will be elections there next month.
Yes.
INEC is really, really uncomfortable because of the spate of insecurity and maybe some political gangsterism in those states.
Outside that, whether political thuggery, insecurity, and all these things, the man at the helm of affairs in INEC, people have lost confidence in that man. If it were to be in other societies, the man would have been asked to step aside, if not removed. Let them have a fresh breath of air. Look at all the elections he conducted, from the federal to the state level, up to the House of Assembly and everywhere, have been challenged in court. Most of them have been removed. How do you now set standard? How do you now set pass mark for yourself when all the exams you wrote, they are proving you to be wrong, and you still continue in office? Something is wrong somewhere. Something is wrong. The governor's elections, some of them are removed, and the senators, some of them are removed. Several offices, and you continue in office. The people who put you there are not concerned about what is happening. You are jeopardizing the future of the nation. You still want to continue in office to continue doing the same thing. Look, do you think a wise man will do something 1,000 times, in the same way, and they expect to have a different result? In this, even in the old world, talk less of the modern world, nothing like that ever happened until they work on the INEC itself, whether security or insecurity, hoodlum or no hoodlum, political thuggery or no political thuggery. We are not going to go more than what we have. Look at the last election that they had. I think it was in the Senate when one of the political parties was saying that it is a miscarriage of justice because they did not win the case in court. Are we supposed to be going through all this? If the INEC does their job creditably well, we should not be looking at all this talk, we're looking at all this. Let us look at the cause. You don't cure the effect of an ailment, you cure the cause of an ailment. And the cause is INEC itself. Let the executive of INEC, headed by Mahmoud, sit down, review what they have done, and come out with an acceptable system of conducting election in Nigeria, so that we don't go through all this hula baloo. You think if election is peaceful and straightforward, anybody will go to the street and start fighting? Yes, it's no.
The back and forth between Atiku's camp and Tinubu's camp is on. And of course, in the coming days, we expect to hear and see more. And of course, you know why? Over the certificates of the president.
Yeah.
NBC has waded in. Atiku's aide is accusing NBC of wanting, of course, by extension, the Tinubu's administration, or wanting to gag the press. They've dished out warnings, but Atiku's aide is saying a television station owned by the president is free to say all manner of what they want to say, while another television station is not free to say what they want to say. So what's your take on that?
Definitely, we Nigerians were putting the cart before the horse, or the horse before the cart this time around. When you say certificate is forged, allow the people who made the allegation to come out with their argument. Not you who is seated by the corner saying that the thing was not forged. Were you there? Are you a member of the governing council of the school? Were you a student in that school? The man has a reason of saying what he's saying. Why don't you allow him to prove if you know quite well that your hands are clean? Who goes to equity must go with clean hands. The issue of certificate forgery never started today. If they have evidences, let them bring them forward. But for them to be gagging the press, of course, we know they've been gagging press for a very long time. And this one is not just starting now. It's only that the dimension at which it came is what people is frowning at. You cannot say somebody should air his view and the other person should not air his view. That one alone will put everybody on their toes. trying to get to the bottom of the matter. And when you put journalists, especially journalists of these days, on inquiry, they will probe the matter to the bottom. So allow everybody to air his view. The Mr. President is a Nigerian. He's one of us. Despite the fact that he's seated as the #1 citizen, he's still a Nigerian, full-blooded Nigerian. Anybody is free to err. It's not a crime. But when you err, you know that you err. There is nothing wrong in saying that, okay, this is how it is. Let us go this way. It is left for the people to say yes or no. When you are a ruler, you are serving the people. And the people are supposed to also be serving you. It's a vice versa issue. Let this matter be resolved by the courts as it is stated by the Constitution. If they are able to bring out substantive evidence that it was a false certificate, what is the way forward? That's what they should be talking about. But I don't expect anybody those who are fighting from the camps of these people, if at the end of the day they go to court and they say that, okay, this thing was actually forged, what happens to those who have been defending? If they now get to court and it is proved that it was not forged, what happens to those who have been fighting? Why don't we allow the courts to do their jobs? Because as it is now, anyhow the courts pass judgment, the other party will say, oh, they have been bought over. Oh, they've erred in law. Because they've already set their minds on what they want to hear. And if they did not hear that, then every other thing is cheating, which is very, very wrong. Okay. All this is supposed to even be a part of a contempt of court. I
may have to stop you. I have one last question because we seem to be running out of time. The war in the Middle East, Israel and Palestinians are at war. Thousands have died.
Look, if we have to go biblically, now people may not actually want it because it's a diverse religion we are practicing. But it is there from beginning. The hands of your brother will perpetually be on your neck. That was the pronouncement against Israel when they were still Jewish state in the scripture. And the fight between Goliath and David, when Goliath was struck down, the sling hit him on the forehead, according to what we read. And you see, instead of him to have fallen backward, he fell with his face to the ground. That's a sign. And what is happening now is not unexpected. It is there until Christ returns again. Okay. The fight will continue because, one, it is ordained in the spiritual that there would be unrest in that area.
Comrade Omo, before we turn this exercise to a religious discussion, I think I beg to stop you at that point. Thank you so much for your expert analysis on the stories making the headlines and in the papers. We looked at the Punch newspaper, Daily Trust, The Guardian, and the Nation newspaper. Big thanks to Comrade Omo for giving us this expert touch to it.
To sit with me this morning.
Exactly. Too. I want to say thank you to all those who you are not seeing but have played a wonderful role in making sure that this program is a success. I want to say a big thank you to Vanguard newspapers for picking up the bills. Thank you so much, guys. And of course, thank you to you too for watching. My name is Alex Obunaya. Good morning.